is Chung Min Lee. He is a senior fellow at Carnegie's Asia program, a former South Korean official. He works on security issues in Northeast Asia. Mr. Lee joins us now live from Seoul. And Mr. Lee, thank you very much indeed for joining us. What do you make of this visit? Is Trump's visit to Seoul a turning point in the nuclear standoff with North Korea?
I think it surely is, Kristie, for two reasons. Number one, for the first time, a third world country, a rogue nation, has nuclear capabilities to hit targets in the continental United States. So this is no longer just a regional threat, but a global, and of course to the Americans, a critical threat. And number two, President Trump is coming to Korea and Asia at a turning point because China is at the apex of its power. And it is crucial for Mr. Trump to assure its allies and friends all over the world that the U.S. is here to stay over the longer term. The U.S. cannot cede leadership to the world to Xi Jinping.
Got it. You have called President Trump's position on North Korea a game changer. How so?
Because for the first time over the last 20 years, ever since the nuclear crisis began in the 1990s, all previous U.S. and South Korean presidents have tried engagement, sanctions, diplomacy, and none of them really worked. And I'm not saying that Mr. Trump has a secret plan up his sleeve, but he has told the world, and North Korea and China in particular, that if China really doesn't push its weight and forces Kim Jong-un down the road of denuclearization, the U.S. will take action on its own, including perhaps military actions. Nobody wants war on the peninsula. That's the last thing the South Koreans want. But Kim Jong-un is never going to give up nuclear weapons because it is a part of regime survival. So President Xi Jinping must be told very clearly that this is your problem in the backyard. Stop coddling North Korea.
Got it. And we'll see how far President Trump will push Xi Jinping when those two leaders meet later in the week, and whether Xi Jinping will play along. But focusing now on the sort of the dynamic between South Korea and the U.S. Historically, Donald Trump has always said he wants to pressurize North Korea. He wants more pressure. Moon, more engagement, more dialogue.
Right.
Now today, we're hearing Trump wants to make a deal, wants North Korea to come to the table. Do you believe that Moon and Trump have found this middle ground, that they've reconciled their differences on North Korea?
I think President Moon Jae-In is between a rock and a hard place because he has to, of course, have critical security ties to the U.S., our biggest defense partner. We buy a huge amount of U.S. weapons, as does Japan, per year. On the other hand, our biggest trading partner is China, who has crucial ties with North Korea. And I think President Trump and President Moon, through the discussions tonight and tomorrow, will come to some type of a common blueprint, which will then President Trump will take to Beijing and tell him, look, the Japanese and the Koreans are on board, and it's time that China is on board as well on this roadmap towards pressuring North Korea to give up their nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I mean, President Moon has been tested by North Korea. He's also been tested by the perceived strength of the U.S.-South Korea alliance. It may be smiles and handshakes in front of the cameras today, but it has been tested by, rogue tweets from Donald Trump on appeasement, Trump's start to withdraw from the free trade agreement. Do you think that drama is over, or is the alliance really solid?
I think it is. I think it is quite solid because, President Moon came into office in early May, and he is the second left of center president. He's a progressive. On the other hand, on security and core national security issues, he's moved much more to the center. And I think President Trump, having seen with his eyes what the region really is, and visiting U.S. forces today, for example, he sees that military option could lead to major catastrophic war. So diplomacy is always the best choice. And in that sense, President Moon and President Trump will see eye to eye on this particular issue to reaffirm the alliance. My last point on this, Kristie, is that around the world, 38,000 Americans died here in Korea in the Korean War, and we're the only ally that has become the fourth largest economy in the world. So this is a crucial, I guess, testament for the alliance, but we are the strongest partners the U.S. has in Asia.
That's right. It's a crucial, decades-old alliance. And a final question for you about the relationship between Trump and Moon, the personal relationship. I mean, they haven't had the bromance, the golf games that we've seen between Trump and Shinzo Abe, but could that change after this visit?
Right. I think so. You know, President Moon, as I said, has been in office for less than 6 months. And this is his third meeting with President Trump. And as he gets more comfortable with meeting world leaders in the G20, for example, at the APEC meetings that are coming up and so forth, they will have much more personal time. And President Moon doesn't play golf, but I'm sure that he has other interests that he can, you know, talk with President Trump. And both sides have to face critical domestic issues as well. And I think over time, both Trump and President Moon will develop a much closer personal relationship.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Chung Min Lee, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on the program. Take care.